Hey, I'm Andy Aledort. In this edition of In Deep, I'd like to talk about a very useful thing that just about every blues guitar player and rock guitar player uses when they play solos, and that is to alternate between minor pentatonic and major pentatonic. A common question is when to switch. And the thing about it is that you can be very specific about the way you switch, meaning when you go to the 4 chord, you use major pentatonic, and when you're on the 1 chord, you use minor pentatonic, and you follow a specific formula like that. But you don't have to, of course. You could use major pentatonic on the 1 and minor pentatonic on the 4, which is the opposite. More importantly is you need to know your scales in every position of the fretboard, know your notes, and that way you know exactly the sounds, the notes, the intervals, what you're playing, and how every one of those things is going to connect to the backing track or the band, the chord progression that you're playing over, because you want to be in control of what's happening with the melody, the melodic line in your improvised solos. So the first thing we'll do is we'll just do a quick run through minor versus major pentatonic in a variety of positions, and then I'll show you how to switch those things and talk about what's useful about alternating between the two scales. All right, here's minor pentatonic in the key of G in a most typical position. And here's major pentatonic in the same position. That was 3rd position. This will be like 2nd position. So typically when you're soloing over the 1 chord, G7, people will use G minor pentatonic. But then when you go to the 4 chord, they'll switch to major pentatonic. And the reason for that is this 6th of G, E is the major 3rd of the 4 chord. Now right away that's going to sound confusing to some people, but it's very simple. We're in the key of G, so the 4th scale degree of G major is a C note, so that makes C the 4th of G. Blues progressions are generally 1, 4, 5, meaning the 3 chords involved are the 1 root, the 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, a C chord, and the 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, a D chord, and you could play dominant 7th chords for each one of those notes. That's the 1 chord, that's the 4 chord, and that's the 5 chord. So, if you play a C major scale, we know C is the 4th. The 3rd of C is E. And when you play a C7 chord, it has an E note in it. So here's the E note from G major pentatonic. Right there. Right there. So it's very natural that that note would sound appropriate to play over the 4 chord. So a common technique is to anticipate the chord change. I'll show you what I mean. So if we're on the 1 chord, G, when we're getting ready to go to the 4 chord, C, you'll already play. Use that E note. But then, in anticipating the move back to G, immediately go back to minor pentatonic in G. So I'll play a little bit over a slow blues track, and I'll show you how we're going to go from minor pentatonic to major pentatonic when we go to the 4 chord and back. All right, so I started minor pentatonic, but then brought that E note in there when the C came in, and then went right back to minor pentatonic when we go back to the one chord.